Cardona. They host the podcast Hot Mics from Left to Right. Ladies, welcome back.
Good morning, Victor.
All right, so let me start with you, Alice, and let's put back up on the screen what is in this package. You've got stimulus checks for $1,400 to round out it, adding the $600 that already went out to $2,000. Billions for rental assistance, eviction moratorium, more for state and local governments, schools, colleges, money for vaccine program. Can Republicans get behind this?
I think so, and I certainly hope so. Look, there was bipartisan agreement on a bill not too long ago, and unfortunately, as the bill got to the 1 yard line, President Trump pulled the ball out from underneath everyone. So I think they've gotten there before, and they can certainly do so again. And I actually have pretty strong confidence that Joe Biden will be able to work across the aisle and get things done, because the American people really need this. And a few things that I think Biden has in his favor is that he's done this before. He's been in Congress. He understands how to get things done. And one thing that stood out to me that as he was talking about this back in December, he said two things to members of Congress: I will never mislead you, and I will never embarrass you. And when you are honest with people and you show respect, you're much more able to get things done. So I do think he has that in his favor in terms of getting this across the finish line and other pieces of legislation.
Maria, the president-elect is optimistic too, but I want you to listen to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about that optimism.
I believe that President-elect Biden has a very optimistic view of the Republican Party. He has made past statements on, once Trump is gone, they will see the error of their ways. And I applaud his optimism, but I disagree with his assessment.
Acutely on the rescue plan and for the breadth of the legislation he wants to get through, what do you think?
Well, I think, first of all, you should start out these negotiations, especially at this moment in time where the challenges that facing the country are unprecedented. You should start out with optimism. You should start out thinking the best of people. You should start out putting all of the priorities of the nation first, and that's exactly what Joe Biden is doing. I'm glad he's going big. I'm glad he's being optimistic. But look, there's no question that there will be challenges, and there's no question that there will be Republicans on the other side who don't want to see him succeed. We saw it already, what happened during the term that he worked in, right, under President Obama, where you saw Mitch McConnell saying that the first thing that he wanted to make sure happened was that President Obama was only just a one-term president. My hope is that Republicans can put this aside, and I'm going to throw in my lot with my amiga Alice Stewart here in being optimistic that both sides understand the stakes that this country is facing for both parties and put priorities of the American people first. And the American people are hurting. We have massive deaths on our hand. We have massive coronavirus infections on our hand. We have massive problems with vaccine distribution. So hopefully both parties can put those priorities first and focus on getting things done for the nation.
All right, so we talked about the incoming president. Let's talk about the outgoing president. Alice, to you, President Trump has been demanding to know which Republicans voted against him during the House impeachment and whether those lawmakers could be primary during 2022 midterms. That's according to a source familiar. Do you expect that Trump as a foe will be as potent 2 years, a year from now?
I do. Look, Victor, he has made no secret about the fact he does have a war chest and he does have an enemies list. And I intend to him to use one for the other, because anyone who has spoken out against him or been vocal in criticizing him, he's made quite clear that they will be primaried. And I believe certainly they will, starting with the constitutional offices in my home state of Georgia. He's made quite clear. But all across the country, they know full well who voted for and who voted against the impeachment issue. And those people, I have no doubt, will face consequences for that. I don't agree with it. I think the reason members of Congress are there are to represent the people of their district, not the President of the United States. But he's made it quite clear that he intends to show consequences for those actions. But more than anything, I do hope that what he does do in his post-presidency is the 74 million people that voted for him, the insurrectionists aside, the 74 million people that voted for him, we need to keep them in the fold, under the tent, and let them know that there's voices will continue to be heard, whether or not President Trump is involved or not.
Well, there's a Quinnipiac poll that shows that 70% of Republicans don't believe that Joe Biden won legitimately. So that percentage is not as small as the number of people who showed up at the Capitol. Maria, let me finish with you. We talked about President Trump as foe. What about for Democrats, President Trump as foil? Do you want him out on the campaign trail with these big crowds in 2022?
You know, I actually don't, because I think this president has been so toxic and has been so dangerous and has a horrendous legacy and will leave with a dark mark, not just on his legacy personally, but on American history. So I really don't think that he will be involved. And you know whose call that's going to be? It's going to be all of the Republicans who supported him in these last 4 years, who enabled him to do all of the dangerous things and say all of the dangerous things without any consequence. It's going to be, a lot of this is going to be up to them as to whether this president is going to be able to play a role either as a foil for them in their Republican primaries and the Republican political process and in the future of the Republican Party, or in American politics generally. And I really hope they don't let him do that.
All right. Last weekend of the Trump administration. Ladies, thank you both.
Thank you so much, Victor.
Christi.